Okay, we'll go ahead and re-adjourn as the Board of Supervisors. I'll turn it over to our County Counsel so he can report out a closed session.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The Board of Supervisors met in closed session this morning to discuss agenda items number 1 through 8 on today's agenda and the addendum that was added to the May 24th meeting. Given the time constraints, the board was not able to complete the closed session, so agenda item number 7, 8, and the addendum will be discussed later on this afternoon. As to the items that were discussed, agenda item number 1 was to confer with legal counsel regarding existing litigation pursuant to subdivisions A and D1 of the Government Code, section 54956.9, in the case of the County of San Benito versus Christina M. Martinez et al., filed in the Superior Court of California in the County of San Benito under case number CU-15-00063. At this time, the board took no reportable action. In regards to agenda item number 2, the board met and conferred with legal counsel regarding existing litigation pursuant to subdivisions A and D1 of Government Code section 54956.9 in the case of the County of San Benito versus Maximo R. Arnelius and Juanita L. Arnelius et al., filed in the Superior Court of California in the County of San Benito under case number CU-15-0077. At this time, the board took no reportable action in that matter. Agenda item number 3 was to meet with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation and the initiation of litigation pursuant to subdivision D4 of Government Code section 5495.6.9 in 3 cases. The board took no reportable action on this matter. Agenda item number 4 was to meet and confer with legal counsel regarding existing litigation under subdivision A and D1 of Government Code section 54956.9. The case involved is San Benito County versus Citadel Exploration, Inc. et al., filed in the Superior Court of California in the County of San Benito under case number CU-15-00162. At this time, the board took no reportable action. Agenda item number 6. The board met and conferred with legal counsel regarding existing litigation pursuant to subdivisions A and D1 of section 54956.9. The case involved Rancho Gavilan versus the County of San Benito et al., filed in the California Superior Court for the County of San Benito under case number CU-15-00142. At this time, the board took no reportable action. The board did not finish its discussion in regards to agenda item number 6. That will be continued to this afternoon. The board also did not conclude its discussion regarding agenda item number 7. That will be continued to this afternoon, as well as agenda number 8 and the addendum to the May 24th meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counsel. So moving on, it looks like we don't have any presentations and recognitions this morning, so I'll move on to public comment. Madam Clerk?
I have
no speaker cards? Okay, this is the time for anyone in the public. This is the opportunity to address this board on items of interest not appearing on the agenda. No action may be taken unless it is provided by Government Code section 54954.2. Ms. Ross?
Ann Ross, speaking as foreperson of the grand jury. Speaking for foreperson of the grand jury, I wanted to give a report at this time of the year, since last year there was contentious issues arising. My report is that there are none, and we are under budget, and we will finish on time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ross. Any other speakers? Now's the time to do so. See none, we'll move on to department heads' announcements. Mr. CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we have an announcement coming out of our elections recorder's registrar's office. We have Joe Paul Gonzalez here to give you your announcement.
Good morning, Chair, Board of Supervisors. I have 3 separate announcements, all related to elections. The first one is that as a result of crossover voting, that whole issue of crossover voting has become very confusing to the voters. And people have been re-registering in different parties, and they've been doing it online, and they've been doing it often. The same people. So what's happened is that a voter may receive 3 different ballots. Not to worry. That's okay. The first ballot that gets completed and turned in voids the other two. So it's not, it's not like they can, someone's going to have an opportunity to vote more than once. So it's the glitch right now because the state has a new statewide voter registration system, VoteCal. And that VoteCal system works with the voter registration systems of each county. And that has been a difficult process because, as you know, all these software projects, when there's always glitches, and that's one of the little glitches that they're working on, but it's not going to affect the accuracy or validity of the election.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question along those lines that
Certainly.
Joe Paul just. Now, why can't we have a system where once you send out the ballot or the registration, you get one ballot and you don't have an opportunity to get 2 or 3 ballots? Because I think that's an expense on the county.
That's the goal, but there's been a lot of things that have gone on that with different law changes. For example, if you register online, there's a little checkbox on that registration where if you don't check that using the DMV signature is okay as your signature, that means you registered but you haven't signed your registration card if you didn't do that checkbox. So your registration is pending coming into the office and actually signing the registration card because you didn't hit that checkbox. So that's one of the issues. The other one is that the goal is to only get 1 ballot per person. We're working on that. Right now, it's a system glitch that nobody anticipated because this push for creating this statewide voter registration system with this window, and it just no one thought of all the things that could happen. Does that answer your question, I hope?
It sounds like a glitch that needs to be fixed next election.
Oh, I'm sure it will be. They're working on it right now. But for the general election, we expect that to be fixed. The second one is to remind voters that their polling places, no doubt, have probably changed. There's a whole bunch of new polling places. Now, if you go to your sample ballot booklet, if you turn to the back page, you'll see the polling place location on the back of that sample ballot. The other place is you can go to our website at sbcvote.us. You can go there and look for your polling place location. In addition to that, we are sending out additional reminders to polling place voters, and they'll be getting these reminders within the next 7 to 10 days. It's just a notice saying, hey, remember your polling place location has changed. This is your new polling place location. So we're doing everything we can to help keep the voter informed of the polling place location changes.
Hey, Joe Paul.
Yes.
If I can ask a question, because this is a question I should probably ask you offline, but maybe other people are,
Sure.
have this problem as well. So I'm getting material at my address, because my wife and I moved about a year ago. We bought a house, and so I changed my voter registration. So recently I said, man, I don't remember if I changed my voter registration. Let me change my address. So now I'm getting stuff. I'm getting the duplicate amount of information, but it's bizarre because it's my name, but one of them is a different middle initial.
Every time you register, and if you did not register exactly like you did before, it really triggers a different registration. And that's, again, related to the VoteCal system, the new implementation of the statewide system, and our EIMS system, our local county system. So I wouldn't be surprised if you received 2 ballots.
Well, I don't vote absentee, but should I be concerned that, mine, Robert Q. Rivas is getting stuff as well?
that's one of those that we would check out.
Okay.
In fact, any sort of questions that the voters have, if they have any doubts whatsoever, please call the office, elections office, at 831-636-4016. It's really important. If you have any sort of doubts whatsoever.
Thank you, Joe Paul.
That's one of those kinds of things that, because of this new voter registration system, these issues have come up. A lot of issues. I'm not even, I barely touched the tip of the iceberg on the types of issues that we're dealing with. But let me assure everyone that the accuracy of the election will not be affected in any way. The other thing is that early voting has already started. You could come in Monday through Friday at the elections office anytime and vote between the hours 8 and 5 p.m., including lunch hour. We're open for lunch. On the Saturday, June 4th, and Sunday, June 5th, just before the election, we will be open from 9 a.m. To 3 p.m. for 6 hours, so people can have an opportunity to vote there at the elections office. I think that was it as far as election stuff. The next item is a kind of a shout out for our GIS department, because elections are only as accurate as the data that goes into the elections systems. And part of that elections systems is really based upon the census data. The 2020 census, the project related to the block boundaries project, it's called the Block Boundary Suggestion Project. They're taking a much different approach to the census. They are, instead of it being a top-down, they're taking a bottom-up approach. So they've asked all agencies, counties, to provide census block information to the UC Berkeley. They're heading the project to this block boundary suggestion project. And San Benito County was one of the few counties that actually completed the information, and we can thank Rene Ancheta for doing that. He's our GIS technician, and he did a great job. He worked on it. So for 2020, we can expect that our census data will be very accurate. The census block information will mean that redistricting will be much easier. And so I'd like to, acknowledge Renee's work. And that's about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe Paul.
We also have another department head announcement out of our Council of Governments office. We have Mary Gilbert here. She's the executive director.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Board of Supervisors. I wanted to come and report to you today some follow-up on an item we had brought to you previously regarding COG's Regional Transportation Plan. At our meeting last Thursday, the Council of Governments Board adopted an amendment to the Regional Transportation Plan, and that amendment includes the Highway 25 widening project on the constrained or funded list of projects for the 2035 RTP timeframe. So I'm happy to let you know that we did complete that. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions, Supervisor Botelho?
I just want to make a point that that it was something that this board had voted that it wanted to see, and what made that possible was the increase in the traffic impact fees to provide that identified funding, and also the importance that Measure P would have in picking up the efficiency funding. So that's part of the overall plan going forward for Highway 25.
All right. Thank you, Supervisor Botelho.
Mr. Chair, I just want to thank Mary. I know I was one of the ones that was really pushing that, but I understood, much later how things had changed regulations, so we had to go about it in a different way. But I'm very glad that it's been done. Thank you so much for the people that represent us, Supervisor Botelho, Supervisor Muenzer, I believe, on COG. and I'm glad it's done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. All right.
Yeah, we also have another one out of our library. We have our librarian, Nora Conte, here to give you an announcement.
Suffering with allergies.
Good morning, members of Board of Supervisors and people that are here today, and also the folks that are listening to us at home. I have three very brief announcements for you, and one of them I'm very excited about. Well, I'm excited about all three, but the very first one is our universal classes. If you go on the library's website, you can log into 500 different classes that you might be able to choose from, and it's anything from literacy to technology to accounting, Microsoft Word, and you will be able to receive, when you take these a class, you will be able to receive continuing education credit for those classes, and that is online through at the county library website. The other announcement that I wanted to make is a summer reading program. This year we are focusing once again on our elementary school children, our preschool children with 1,000 books before first grade, as well as our teens this year, as we're trying to promote County of San Benito. It is a beautiful county, and teens will be taking a short little video about the wonderful things in San Benito County, and there will be a little contest about that. The third and final one is that we've started some dialogue with City of Hollister in regards to augmentation of their funding to support the public library. I've had some very positive discussions with the city manager, Mr. Rivera, and I'll be making a presentation tonight at 5 o'clock to the City of Hollister so that they can help us to expand library services. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? No. Thank you, Nora.
I did bring, this is a draft of the flyer for you for summer reading. And this year, and many libraries are going into sciences and the promotion of science during summer reading programs. And we're there with them. We're going to be doing science experiments and things like that this year. The first one will start on the 16th of June, and it will be an experiment with bubbles and things like that. Thank you, Board.
Thank you, Nora. Right.
Our last department head announcements coming out of our RMA department. We have Adam Goldstone here from that department to give you an update or an announcement.
Hi. Good morning, board members. Just a quick announcement that you may have noticed for those of you in the city that PG&E has been updating streetlights to new LED fixtures. They will be doing that in the county areas as well. I don't have an exact start date yet. It could be at any time. These are just for, the publicly owned streetlights, not privately owned. No cost to the county, and I just wanted everyone to be aware that those will be coming. If you have any questions, I can certainly pass them along to PG&E to get more information. But just want to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all the announcements, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you. All right. Director's report, Supervisor Barrios.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two items. I want to just report that Supervisor Muenzer and I attended another mobility partnership meeting this month, and we set the goals. And I think of interest to San Benito County through the mobility partnership is that aside from safety and operations, that we're looking at the economic advantages that could be, benefiting San Benito County. And it reads, provide opportunity to accommodate access to allow for enhanced development opportunities, access for recreational travel between the Bay Area and North Central Coast area and other regions of California, including the Central Valley, Sierra Nevada, and Southern California. So it's important for you to know that is one of the things that I believe Supervisor Muenzer and I will be really wanting to push, that San Benito County does benefit from the economic benefit is there for us in the alignment of Highway 152. So, thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Muenzer?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I missed one.
Supervisor
I apologize.
Barrios?
I said two. I just want to say thank you to the City of Hollister. They put on the Foot Pursuit Run last 2 weekends ago, downtown, very well attended. It was great to see a really good turnout. The weather cooperated, and they did a really nice job of bringing the community together for that. So thank you, Mr. Chair. Vice Chair.
Supervisor Muenzer?
None.
Yeah, Supervisor Botelho?
Yes, last Wednesday I attended a meeting for the Area Agency on Aging, and probably the most significant item that we had was the council voted in favor of supporting a resolution for the California budget augmentation for senior nutrition programs, and what we're asking for is $5.4 million in new funding to augment senior nutrition programs, and we passed a resolution supporting that at that meeting. That's all I have.
Thank you. My report, I'm going to just give a little brief of it, but I'm going to put it on the next agenda for the CSAC conference that Ray and Barbara and I attended. But just a brief comment, because we're going to talk about it at the next meeting, is that the governor's budget so far, they're anticipating not as much money as they're going to. So they're going to allocate less to the rainy day fund, actually in the amount of $1.3 million. There was another item that was discussed that actually I talked to Jim about this morning, was a concept of no place like home. And what the idea is, take Prop 63 funds, move it away from a guarantee based on population for local counties into a competitive bid basis in which you have local communities compete for these funds. And my argument to Jim was, well, wait a minute, what dollar will you get? Will you get a sure dollar, or will you get a dollar that you have to compete? And I registered my complaint to the state of California, and Jim informed me today that actually they're trying to work through those glitches in which San Bernardino County gets its fair share of money. And what they're trying to do is take money away, or what's the word they used, redirect from mental health services to homelessness with mental health housing opportunity for those members of the community. And so I kind of said, okay, I'll wait and see, but report back to the board on what the final decision will be. I also attended a rally, Save Our Roads.
Oh, good.
I was so excited. Actually, I had a couple cards I was going to bring with me, a couple postal cards, but I lost them in my hotel, so I apologize. But they're going to ship me a couple so we can put them in the back or for Proposition P. And it was exciting because all the county supervisors actually went to the House and say, look, support our roads. Enough is enough. And in the transportation discussions, I raised my hand, and Barbara was out in the audience, and I said, I'm tired of this. When are we going to tell our public that you, Sacramento, are the bad people in our community because you continue to pull back funds, and we're forced to ask the public to approve a measure that we have on the ballot today, which is Measure P. You continue to give us less money. I can't continue to go to the public and ask them to dig deep into their pocket and give us 2 pennies of their hard-earned money, knowing it's your responsibility to fix 25, it's your responsibility to fix 156. But yet you continue to tell us that we need to support it locally. Enough is enough. And I actually had some other supervisors applaud me for that concept. I hope I didn't burn bridges with the state of California on that issue, but I was just passionate. I had to say it. And the other item, too, was marijuana. A lot of counties who are really against and for it, and it's almost to the point where those who are for it have personal reasons against it. I'm sorry, who are for it understand the concept, and those who are against it are just personally not in favor of this medical marijuana. But we all acknowledge that sooner or later, recreational marijuana is going to be legalized. It's actually going to the public in November, and it's going to happen. So everyone is in agreement that we need to develop policies that are local control, that we have some say in it instead of allowing the state of California to tell us what to do. So everybody's talking about, and in fact, the state of California has created a committee with some agencies that are allowed county supervisors to participate, and I actually put my name into it and hope I can get a call. And I would like to serve in this committee, how we move forward involving the ag commissioners, the auditor's office, the sheriff's department, the district attorney, what best practice policies that we can do in our local county governments that can ensure that it's actually local control and it's done the right way. And I'll conclude because I will have Barbara and Ray and I will make a presentation to the board at the next meeting. Supervisor Muenzer?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. You actually jogged my memory. At the COG board, there was an item on our agenda about joining the Fix Our Road Coalition
Oh, yeah.
that I would like to direct staff to bring back at hopefully next meeting, because I think we need to get it done. But this is where local governments are joining together, trying to put pressure on Sacramento to do something about the roads. So I'd like to see that.
Good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's put that in the next one too. Actually, how does the June 7th meeting agenda looks like?
It's actually June 14th,
June 14th?
and I don't think there's a whole lot yet right now. So we'll see. We'll play it by ear how that goes. Yeah.
Okay, so
We do on June 14th though have the budget mock in the afternoon, a mock review of the budget. So
Well, we are having a meeting on the 7th, right? A board meeting?
No.
Okay. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. We'll continue. Okay. Next one's consent agenda items. Any supervisor wish to pull any of the consent items?
I do, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I would like to pull number 14, just for clarification, and number 19, I have to recuse myself on
Sure.
that one
We'll do. Okay.
because of funding.
Got it. Okay. Anyone? Any other supervisor? None? Anyone from the public? None? What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve, Mr. Chair, all those remaining, except for items 14 and 19.
Perfect. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Thank you. 14, Supervisor Barrios.
Number 14, on page 3 of 26 on the amendment to the contract, there's a portion that talks about a site at the landfill that is owned by the city of Hollister. I just wanted clarification on that one. It's for Class 1 hazardous material. Is there a little piece that was dedicated and given? I wasn't familiar with that, and I guess I just want to.
No problem. So there is a Class 1 and Class 3 is the landfill. The Class 1 is the hazardous waste facility. It's I want to say maybe 3 to 9 acres. It's a very small portion. There's a lot of deed documents that go back 1984, 1991, where ownership of that specific parcel was transferred to the city of Hollister during its post-closure phase. So it is not an active hazardous waste site. It's been post-closed for 20, 30 plus years with no activity there. So it is not owned by the county but the city. When Mandy Rose retired, it was kind of an ambiguous item that wasn't specifically mentioned in our JPA, which focuses more on providing hazardous waste programs rather than the hazardous waste site. So it is something that the county and city are actively working out, cleaning up on who submits the permit application for that site every 10 years, as well as how we're handling groundwater monitoring out there. So this is making sure they're paying for groundwater monitoring and processing of that permit application that's due.
Okay.
It's we don't want DTSC mad at the city or the county, which is why we've teamed up to really take care of it and get it resolved.
Okay. And maybe in a future agenda,
Yes.
we might want to figure out if that's still a good agreement, or if it's still, relative to what we're doing with the landfills. So
Absolutely.
We can talk about it at a future time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? None? Anyone from the board? None? What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve per staff recommendation.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Thank you. 19, Supervisor Barrios.
I'll recuse myself.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of the board on 19?
Move for staff recommendation.
Is there a second?
I'll second. You did the public already, or?
I'll call the public on this one. Okay, there's a motion. Is there anyone from the public on 19? None. What's the pleasure of the board?
Second.
Is there a motion by Muenzer, second by Botelho? What's the pleasure of the board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. I apologize for that. I had a moment. Okay, moving on. Number 29, public hearing, Resource Management Agency. Can someone call Supervisor Barrios?
yeah. Is she over there? Oh, yeah.
We're done, Marjorie.
So I'll go ahead and open this up, Mr. Vice Chair. So this is coming out of our Resource Management Agency. We have Adam Goldstone here to present this and hold a public hearing, adopt ordinance establishing water conservation requirements within CSA 31 for the 2016-17 water year. And Adam's filling in for Brent.
That's right. I'll do my best on this matter. First off, I do need to read in two small changes to Exhibit B on the findings and authority and support of the allocations. On Item 1, we need to remove the language, a reduction from the maximum 379 acre-feet, and we need to replace that with the same amount as. In Section 2...
Adam, where are you?
I'm sorry, on Exhibit B.
On Exhibit B.
Of what?
Is that Exhibit A?
We have Exhibit A to the ATI, we have ordinance, and Exhibit C.
Exhibit B is a part of the ordinance, I believe. Is that correct?
So it'll be the second one, the ordinance.
Right, it's in part of the ordinance. The attachment A is for the AIT, and then it goes into the ordinance, and this is the Exhibit B to the ordinance.
Got it. Page 5.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't have page numbers on my copy. So again, Item 1, removing a reduction from the maximum 379 acre-feet, replacing that with the same amount as.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And then in item or section...
Hold on.
I'm
It's
sorry.
going to be the same amount as, like, word for word, or the same amount as 379?
No, we would...
You
the
scratch
actual
out
wording,
that.
the actual wording, the same amount as allocated for the 2015-2016 water year.
Okay. So
Yeah.
redline that one and then do that. Okay.
So instead of a reduction, it's going to be the same amount. And then another small one in Section 2, removing 10 acre-feet and replacing it with 19 acre-feet. And then removing for a total of 58 acre-feet, replacing that with a total of 67 acre-feet. So just correcting the math there.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any questions on the rest of the
Sure. Supervisor Muenzer?
ordinance or documents?
Supervisor Botelho?
Yeah, Adam, so these new numbers, is this just new information from the water district since we wrote this, or is it just kind of adjusted from?
It's just been a revision since this was written and submitted. There were some more discussions, and it was a clarification on our part.
Thank you. Supervisor Barrios?
No questions. Thank you.
Matt, the changes in the numbers, is that immaterial or is it material?
So when they make the motion, make sure to incorporate the change.
But how about for the public, because the public got the information a couple of days before based on the old numbers?
It doesn't change Exhibit C. So basically, the Exhibit C was calculated in association with Resource Management Agency with using the numbers, and they consulted with CSA 31 as well. So the numbers in the Exhibit C, which are the actual allocations, have not changed. This was just a change to reflect what they've used to calculate the actual numbers that were in Exhibit C. It just wasn't. I think it was probably a carryover from a prior resolution, and they didn't have the numbers there that were part of or they could have just adjusted those numbers based upon the information that they received. But the Exhibit C hasn't changed, so this is an immaterial change just in the findings.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. I'm going to open up to the public. Do you have any speaker cards on this item? No, I don't. Anyone from the public on this item, 29? None. I'll close it. Further questions, Supervisor Botelho?
I just want to be clear for the public as well. This allocation is for May 26 going forward to next year at the end of February.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Vice Chair, I'll make a motion. Is there any resolution number we have to read?
946. 946.
Okay. Approving resolution 946. Ordinance, I'm sorry. Ordinance 946.
With the changes,
With the changes.
I'll second.
Do we need to read item 1, 3, and 4, County Council, or as the motion stated? Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, you need to read the
CEQA findings.
you need to read the title of the ordinance and the CEQA findings.
You want to redirect your motion, Supervisor Muenzer?
Or you can just move for staff recommendation.
You want to?
Read the title, please.
Okay, adopt ordinance establishing a water conservation program for the area served by County Service Area Number 31 for the 2016-17 water year, and make the CEQA findings set forth in Exhibit A to this agenda item.
I will second that with the changes.
With the changes, you want to? Sorry, you want to end and adopt ordinance number 4.2 as directed by staff in your motion?
Yes, that was
Okay.
part of the.
Will the maker of second accept them?
I will.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against, motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
very much.
Okay. Do we need to go to closed session, or we're still going on?
At 11 o'clock, we need to adjourn into closed session.
Perfect. Okay. Regular agenda item number 30, County Administrator Ray.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Yes, we have Melinda Casillas, our management analyst, here to introduce this particular item. This is with regards to community-based organizations and presenting to your board performance for the last year. So, Melinda?
Yes, good morning. This item basically continues from the May, we have an April, I'm sorry, from 2 weeks ago, where we had a couple of community-based organizations come forward to report how they have used their allocations for this current fiscal year, 15-16. They received the funding about approximately August of 2015, and so they've had some opportunity to put their allocations into use, and so they're here today to report to you how they've used their allocations. The first one that we have is Senior Legal Services. Is there somebody here from Legal? Creighton was not able to attend last time. It appears he was not able to attend this time either, so I will contact him and have him come back to your board and report. Advocacy, Mr. Edwards.
Good morning. I'm Gary Edwards. I'm Executive Director of Advocacy, Inc. We provide long-term care ombudsman services in skilled nursing facilities and residential care facilities in San Benito and Santa Cruz counties. First, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come here and just tell you a little bit about what we do and what we've done in the past year, and thank the board for your continuing support of our agency and of our programs. The long-term care ombudsman program serves the residents of skilled nursing and residential care facilities and really serves to protect their rights. This is founded back in the originated in the Older Americans Act, where back in the 70s, what we knew as nursing homes or skilled nursing facilities were little more than warehouses for people to die. The Ombudsman program was founded under federal law and then under state law in the California Older Americans Act to protect the rights of those residents. So just some of the things that we do, we receive and investigate complaints from residents. We refer residents for Medi-Cal services. In California, there are long-term care ombudsman programs throughout the country in every state. In California, we have a unique part of our job, which is to investigate elder and dependent abuse cases. So we do serve the two counties, San Benito and Santa Cruz counties. About 10% of the beds that we serve are in San Benito counties, but we're very fortunate to have an ombudsman that's located here in Hollister, and she's actually Pat Pence is with us here today. She actually covers about 20% of the paid ombudsman time to serve facilities here in San Benito County. And I also have Wayne Norton with me here this morning. He is Ombudsman Program Coordinator. So two of our key staff, in fact, two of the three staff ombudsmen that work for the agency are San Benito County residents. I could drone on for hours, but I'll let Wayne talk for a second about the work that he and his people do.
Good morning. Wayne Norton. I'm the Ombudsman Program Coordinator for San Diego County. And first of all, I just want to say thank you for your funding, but I also want to just take a moment to say how important our partnership is with the county. The Ombudsman Program started nationally back in the 70s, actually in the Nixon administration, and it was an outgrowth of the social justice movement that sort of came up through the churches back at the time. And the founding notion of the Ombudsman Program was that it wasn't supposed to be entirely a government program. It was always intended to be a partnership between the communities, the governments, and all of the folks in the community. The idea was that the whole community has a responsibility for taking care of our elderly. And they built a couple really sort of unique facets into the Ombudsman Program to try to enhance that community aspect. One is that they created mechanisms to leverage more federal dollars if you had local participation. So we get help, we get some support from not only San Diego County, but last year we got from the city of Hollister, and various governments around the two-county area give us money. We're also really fortunate to get support from the United Ways in both Santa Cruz and San Diego County. And all of those contributions actually help us leverage more federal dollars, and the idea is to get more community involvement. But the other aspect that's really important too, I think, of the Ombudsman Program is that it requires a volunteer component. We have volunteers that are trained as ombudsmen. They're trained in the same kind of training that I get. And volunteers actually are a regular presence in our nursing home and long-term care facilities. The notion I want to leave you with is that your participation and partnership is valued. It's a very important part of the sort of community responsibility to take care of our elderly.
Can you hold on 1 minute, sir?
Sure.
Supervisor Muenzer?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Wayne, do you know how much our local match leverage with federal dollars?
Well, Gary's the number guy, and he could answer that question better. Okay. But I think actually Gary does have that.
I will get back to you about the exact percentage of the match, but the Hollister or San Benito County money is used for that federal match. I believe it's 10%, but I'll get back to you on that exact number. I'll get back to you on it.
We're giving 10%, and the federal government is giving 90%?
For one segment of the money that we get from the federal government. Rather than, I'll get back to you.
Okay, I guess what I'm trying to get at is the fact that we are contributing to you brings in a significant amount of federal money to assist the aging population in our county.
Absolutely. It's a significant amount
That's
of
the
money.
point that I want to make.
It absolutely does.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Okay.
Supervisor Botelho?
Yeah, I think we all got a letter from a constituent that was critical of this process, not only of contribution to your organization, but to any organization. And I answered that letter, and I got a reply back. And it states here in your program that the long-term care ombudsman program is federally and state mandated through the Older Americans Act and Older Californians Act, respectively. So, this is a kind of a essential service that we have to be a part of. But a question that was raised to me, and I couldn't quite answer it, and maybe you could answer it, maybe our county council could answer it, is rather than make a contribution such as in this fashion, why aren't we contracting? What's the difference? If it's mandated, should we be contracting with the ombudsman rather than just making the contribution? But it was kind of a question I couldn't really reply back to. I try to reply to my emails, but that was interesting.
Well, Supervisor Botelho, I'm sure you know a lot of other mandated programs by the federals and the states that they don't pay for. I think Ombudsman program is, once again, it is mandated by the state and the federal government, although they don't support it with all the funding that's needed to run it. And I think with the Ombudsman program, back in the 70s when the program was created, it was designed to be not just federally supported or state supported. It was designed to be community based and community supported. That's why we have volunteers. That's why we have a local presence. And the idea was that the whole community is supposed to take care of our elderly and not just the feds, because if we left it to the feds, other programs that when we leave it to the feds, what happens? So.
Yeah, I prefer it this way myself. We have 800 other contracts to worry about.
Thank you, Supervisor Botelho. Okay.
Any questions?
I'm going to open it to anyone from the public. None?
Yes, I do have 2 speakers.
Actually, hold on a minute.
Mr. Vice, I think we still have a few more presentations, correct? Can we? Is it okay with?
Actually, okay. Let's do this. How many presentations do we have today?
Emmaus House and the Community Food Bank.
Okay.
2 more.
I'm gonna allow 5-minute presentations. Just let's do a cap of 5 minutes, and if they go shorter, great. If you go longer, then I'll allow to go longer if fellow supervisors wish to ask additional questions. But let's try to maintain the presentation within the 5 minutes maximum.
Okay.
Supervisor Muenzer?
Well, I was just going to ask, how drop dead are we at 11 o'clock to go back into closed session?
Well, there's probably a few minutes. He'll be waiting for our phone call.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the reason why.
He'll be waiting on our dime?
That's all right. You know attorneys.
Let's make it quick.
Okay, go ahead, Melinda.
Okay, Patrice from Emmaus House. The county provided $15,000 worth of allocation to Emmaus House.
Thank you, Vice Chair De La Cruz and Board of Supervisors, and I'll cut this down a little bit so Maria can have her time too. So we've been in operation since October of 2006. Our program has a 24/7 crisis line that offers support to women that need to assess the situation that they're in, develop safety planning, and determining if it's appropriate to have the intake into our shelter. In the 2015 granting cycle, we received 457 of these hotline calls. This is up 8% over the previous year's time frame. Our shelter offered safe homes to families since we've opened, and in that time frame, since 2006, we've sheltered 1,365 clients. 627 of those were children, and of the children, 53% were under the age of 5. In the 2015 cycle of our grant, we served 177 clients, totaling 3,605 bed nights. This is an increase of 55% over the previous year. Presently, where we at in 2016, we're on par to do about the same. Our demographic breakdown is 95 women and 82 children. It's important to note that we only take boys up to the age of 12. We track abuse in 3 different categories. During our grant cycle, we had 42% that were physically or sexually abused, 39% were verbal abuse, and 16% were mental abuse. That's also been very consistent in the last 18 months. Presently, we're seeing a little bit more of verbal abuse going on in this last quarter or so. Our ethnicity breakdown, 60% Hispanic, 29% white, 3% Black American, 2% American Indian, 3% multiracial, and 3% other. We, in our grant cycle, held 49 weekly wellness and empowerment classes and 38 parenting classes. And let's see, our staff case managers met between 2 and 4 times weekly with clients reviewing their progress towards their individual needs and goals. This totaled over 500 sessions in 2015. I'm happy to report that these programs are working, and proudly in 2015 we had 0 clients return to their abusers. Considering that the national average states that a woman returns to her perpetrator 7 times before she's able to leave for good, we feel that we're obviously doing something really right with the programs that we're doing. It's very impressive numbers. Additionally, we provide aftercare services to our clients after they depart from Emmaus House. These services include access to on-site counseling and group meetings, household celebrations such as Halloween and Christmas parties, clothing boutique and emergency pantry items, and so far in 2016 we've had 14 past clients seek our aftercare services and counseling services. We utilize a varied variety of volunteer base to keep Emmaus House running smoothly and feel more like a home rather than just a overnight stay. Our volunteers provide donation and boutique sorting, community enrichment and educational event staffing, fundraising events, beauty treatments for hair and nail care, maintenance, yard care, and grooming. And all important is our live-in house monitor. We wouldn't be able to maintain our tight budget without having this person that lives on site for us. That cuts us down with 12 hours a day that we would have had been paying staff. We have currently an active volunteer base of 85 volunteers, and during our granting cycle, that totaled 5,111 volunteer hours. The National Coalition Against Domestic Violence states that any attempt to exert control over an intimate partner constitutes domestic violence. There's some statistics on a fact sheet that I've passed out for all of you, some additional statistics. In the years since Emmaus House has been open, we've had over 2,100 cases of domestic violence in Hollister. A recent quote from Sheriff Derek Thompson states domestic violence events remains one of our most frequent calls for service above other crimes of violence. And I wanted to especially thank Supervisors Barrios, Botelho, and De La Cruz for your recent and past participation in Walk a Mile in Our Shoes event, which is your visual support to our community awareness to the travesties of domestic violence and sexual assault is greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Supervisor Barrios?
No questions.
Supervisor Muenzer? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation.
Okay, and then finally we have Maria Thomas from the Community Food Bank.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity to share what's going on at Community Food Bank. This will be very quick. I just like showing the pictures. So our total community impact with all of our food programs is we're reaching an average of 4,600 people in our community every month. Of those, about 900 a month are seniors, and that's about 20% of our customers. So the senior programs that our county grant actually fund is we have two different senior programs. One is our brown bag delivery, which you see there. We go to the Prospect Villa, East Prospect, and Vista Meadows apartment complex every week. Every Wednesday morning we're there handing out the bags. And then in the afternoon on Wednesdays we go to the senior center, and that's another distribution site. And with that, we're serving about 200 seniors every month. Our other senior program is our door-to-door delivery. And we have a very special volunteer, Mr. Bruce Green, who's the retired teacher in town. And he actually goes door-to-door to about 75 homes in Hollister and delivers the groceries. And I say that he's delivering more than convenience and food because he's really goes and cheers up people. He makes them, he makes homemade blankets, and he'll do that for folks. And really, he brings a smile. He's a real nut if you know him, and he really cheers up their day. And for a lot of them, that's the only person they might see all week, so they look forward to seeing him. And he's a volunteer. He does this 100% volunteer every week. The total bags we've delivered so far since September 1st, when our contract for this funding is 5,780. That's through the end of April, and that's to the specific senior programs that you fund. So thank you very much, San Benito County. Your funding makes a huge difference for our senior programs.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That concludes the presentations for today.
Okay, okay, we'll do that. Okay, we're going to open it to the public. Do you have any speaker cards?
I do. First speaker is Rebecca Salinas.
You want to set your clock, Janet? Go ahead, Rebecca.
My name is Rebecca Salinas, and I am a resident of Hollister. I'm also part of the Friends of the Library. Now, what I want to talk about is the process that you used to award these allocations. If you were going to institutionalize, because I realize that you gave the same people that you gave last year, you gave this year. So if you're going to institutionalize, it would be nice to make it more transparent and say to all of the nonprofits, look, we are going to prioritize by shelter, food, whatever you decided to do, then we would know that we're not being excluded or that we weren't invited. It's like, come to the party, but you can't come, only you and you. You know what I'm saying? So that we feel excluded. And I know you don't, I applaud your work that you want to do more for the nonprofits and that they help the county to offset costs that they might endure. But at the same time, it has to be more transparent. I read about it in the Benito link. And I said, wait a minute, we didn't hear about this. How come we didn't know about that? The Friends of the Library are always around. And I'm still waiting for those impact fees. So at any rate, we're always looking for help too. Now there's Youth Alliance that was funded, and you say, okay, youth activities. We do youth activities. We have summer reading. We have homework club. I mean, we work with other nonprofits may do the same. So if you're going to just do the same thing year after year after year without even looking at the timing of it, Measure P is out there. Measure P is out there, and people are going to say, why are they using the money to give to the nonprofits instead of putting it into our roads? They want to take more money from our pockets. So I just want to, I want to suggest that if you're going to continue to do this method, that it be known so that we don't have to say, oh God, they have their favorites and we can't apply, all of this business. So maybe it'll make us more efficient. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Salinas. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Jerry Wright.
Good morning, Vice Chairperson and supervisors and county officials. I'm Jerry Wright, and I represent myself and a group of people in the neighborhood or wherever I hang out. My concern is pretty much what Rebecca said about on one hand, we're being asked to vote to support a measure that provides for the basic needs of the county, which are roads this time. And on the other hand, we're giving out funds to nonprofits. I am a huge supporter of nonprofits. I volunteer a lot of time, and my husband and I give money to the nonprofits that we can support. So it's not in any way critical of the nonprofits. It's the process that it's done. Some of what Rebecca said, and I said to you in a letter, and I thank you, Supervisor Botelho, for your answers and I saw your attempt to clarify. I appreciate that. That is my concern about making the process more transparent. I feel that that can happen by putting out the information about what organizations are selected, how they're selected, and what the purpose of that selection is. I think the second thing that would make it more transparent, and this may happen, I don't know. I know Supervisor Botelho says it is very transparent, but if it was, I wouldn't be here asking these questions. Are there public representatives that sit on the ad hoc committee with the supervisors and the government employees? And secondly was the question that Supervisor Botelho mentioned, is there a way that this can be done in a contract for services, and would the money that is paid to a nonprofit for their services qualify for the federal and state funding? So then that it's more defined. I know you don't want more contracts, but it's more defined in the vagueness that Rebecca Salinas spoke about wouldn't happen because it is happening in the community. I really feel that
the nonprofits are doing so much to help our county that I don't at all question that. And I also appreciate all that you do. It's just I am trying to make it so that it's more transparent to somebody that lives in a little house somewhere like me. And I at times question whether it's ethical for us to use government public funds to support private nonprofits. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to address you with my concerns.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. We appreciate it. Any other speaker cards? Anyone from the public?
Hi, good morning. Marty Richmond from Hollister. I'm a bottom line kind of guy, and this is a bottom line issue about supporting programs that essentially wind up saving us money, in my opinion. If the government had to do these programs, it would cost at least twice as much, in my estimate, maybe more than that, and they wouldn't be as efficient, and they wouldn't have as many volunteers, and we'd be looking at prevailing wage issues and all that, and we'd be absorbing all the overhead, whatever it is, 12 or 16%. There are certain fundamental needs. Certainly things like Meals on Wheels fall into that. Food banks fall into that. The ombudsman falls into that. The cost to the county, to our public. Remember, we have a public health care system here. It's not a private health care system. It's a public one. So the public winds up paying for it. The cost of it, of one lawsuit because someone was mistreated and it was not cut off at the beginning, is enormous. It would pay for this program 100 times over, because we all know the lawyer's waiting now, and this is costing you $50 a minute while I talk. So I see how nervous you guys are, where you got the little, got the stopwatches and you got the little calculators. So I will not use my whole 3 minutes. I will give you some money back by using another 23 seconds to say, as long as you keep it to the fundamental programs that support direct improvement in the lives of the people of the county, I'm in support of these programs, even though it is, quote, government money. Well, guess what? They are the, in the end, the residents are the government. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marty. Okay. Any other speaker cards? None? Okay, good. We'll close it. Thank you for your presentation. We will now go to closed session.
Damn it. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. The Board of Supervisors will now adjourn into closed session to discuss agenda item number 8 on today's agenda. This agenda item is to meet and confer with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation and the significant